Okay, good morning everyone. Shalom Aleichem, Bruchim Habayim. We're going to have one short Iyun on Daf Nun Vav and one on Daf Nun Zayin. The Gemara said on Daf Nun Vav that somebody who says to a woman, "You're married to me on condition that I don't have responsibilities to you. I don't have to pay for your food. I don't have to pay for your clothing. I don't have to have relations with you. It's a good marriage, and the Tanai is batal." Who holds this way? Divrei Reb Meir. This is opinion Reb Meir. Reb Meir holds the Tanai is batal, and the marriage is kayam. It's not a good Tanai, but it's a good marriage. Now, if I would have been learning this Gemara simply, I would have said, you know why it's not a good Tanai? Because Reb Meir famously holds you need a Tanai to be a Tanai kafel. We learn out Tanaim from Bnei Gad and Bnei Ruvain, and therefore the Tanai has to be double. You have to say, if A and B, if A then B, and if not A, not B. If you don't spell it out both ways, the Tanai and the converse, it's not effective. But that's not what the Gemara means to be saying over here. What the Gemara means to be saying is Reb Meir holds you can't be masne amashakasa b'Torah. The basic obligation of marriage entails she'er ksus v'ina. So therefore, since that's a Tanai in marriage, you can't stipulate against what the Torah says. Therefore, the stipulation is off, and the marriage stands. Okay, that's the opinion of Rabbi Meir. I can't even get away from a Meir in the Iyun shir. Okay, so today's Iyun shir, I don't know if you saw the cover yet of the upcoming Sefer. It's really, the cover itself is very inspiring. It's a nice picture of Tveria, Reb Meir's kever. By the way, we were learning recently that even though normally we don't paskin like Reb Meir, we paskin like Reb Meir b'gzeirosav. When it comes to gezeiros, then we do paskin like Reb Meir. But now we're talking about Reb Meir's shita. That was on Daf Nun Zayin. Now we're talking about Reb Meir's shita that you can't be masna amashakasa b'Torah. So let's see Tosefta. Let's begin with Tosefta. Let me see if I could bring it up here. Tosefta. Says Tosefta, Harezu Mekudeshes to Tanai Batel, Al Karchach B'dekafle LeTanai Ayri. Obviously, we have to be talking about that he doubled the Tanai. To Amar Allah, he said to her, Em ein lich alai sherk sasvaina Harei Mekudeshes. If I don't have responsibility of food, clothing, and relations, then we're married. V'im lav, otherwise, alti mekudeshes. It's not a marriage. How do we know it has to be a Tanai kafel? Midika Amar, from the fact that the Gemara says lekaman, the time of the Reb Meir, the Gemara later says the reason of Reb Meir is not because he didn't double the Tanai. The Tanai batal mishum demasna masha kasa b'Torah. The reason Reb Meir holds the Tanai is batal is because you're stipulating against the Torah. V'iloi kafel a Tanai. If you didn't double the Tanai, typically the Tanai batal Reb Meir mishum debai Tanai kafel. Because Reb Meir holds you need a Tanai kafel kid amar b'ha'imar, like we say in the end of Kedushin. So now we're up to the big kasha of Tosefta. Any day that you could hear a Tosefta's kasha is a good day. V'tema, ask Tosefta a bamba. You ready for this bamba? A bam kasha. Be'ez Hashem, this should protect Klal Yisrael, this question. Tosefta's kasha is, think about it. So you made a good Tanai, but the Tanai is not effective because it's against the Torah. So why in the world would the marriage be good? The guy said, I only want to marry you if I don't have these responsibilities. So if he has the responsibilities, then it shouldn't be a good marriage. How in the world could this be a valid marriage? Why is it a good marriage? He stipulated explicitly, if he has responsibilities, that you're not married. Tosefta's question, I understand it's not a Tanai, because it's against the Torah. But let's listen to what the guy said. He said, I only want to marry you on condition I am not responsible for these things. If he is responsible for these things, then how could it be a good marriage? He says, my das is that I only want it to be a marriage if I am not liable. But if he's liable, how could it be a good marriage? So Tosefta has an ein loymar. The ein loymar de lekach mekudeshes. Don't say you know why it's married. Lefisha mekadsha almanas shetimchaloi. He's marrying her on condition that she's moichal him. V'harei machla, and she's moichal. Ela de'ein mechila mechila, but it's not a valid mechila. And I'm going to skip why this is not a good ein loymar. I want to go straight to Tosefta's answer. Again, the question is, the guy said, I'm marrying you on condition that I am not responsible for shar ksos and oina. But if he's responsible for those things, how could it be a good marriage? Ready for this Yisoid Gadol of Tosefta? Tosefta is mechadesh that really Tanoim should not help. Had we not learned out from the stipulation of Bnei Gad and Bnei Ruvain, Hava Amina, I would have thought the Shum Tanai Eina Mevatel Samaisa. No Tanai nullifies an act. Va'afilu lo yiskayim b'soif, even if the Tanai is not fulfilled, Hamaisa Kayam. The act stands. Tosefta says, had it not been for the Gzeres HaKosov, I would say you cannot make stipulations. You do an act, the act stands. I use stipulated, schmipulated. Whoever said stipulation can be effective? Whoever said a stipulation can qualify an act? An act is a maisa. It can't be quantified by words. You say I'm marrying you, you're married. You said I'm only doing it on condition. Who said you can make conditions? Had we not learned that from Bnei Gad and Bnei Ruvain, I would say you cannot make conditions. V'hashta di'alfinan mehasam demahani t'nai lift al maisa. But now that we learn out from Bnei Gad and Bnei Ruvain that a t'nai is mavato maisa, it still has to be similar to the Tanai Bnei Gad and Bnei Ruvain. That's only if you don't stipulate against what's written in the Torah. Similar to Bnei Gad and Bnei Ruvain. You did not stipulate on what's written in the Torah. Bottom line is that, listen to what Tosefta is saying. Tosefta's kasha is, how could the marriage be good, but he made the marriage on condition that he doesn't have to give shar ksos and oina? Says Tosefta that the phenomenon that a t'nai is effective is only because it's Gzeres HaKosov we learn out from Tanai Bnei Gad and Bnei Ruvain. Had it not been for that pasuk, I would have said t'naim don't work. Now that I learn out from there, I only learn out Tanaim similar to Bnei Gad and Bnei Ruvain. Listen carefully. The reason you can't make a Tanai against the Torah is not because you don't have the power to, it's because there's no such thing as a Tanai. Tanai only works because we learn out from Bnei Gad and Bnei Ruvain. But Bnei Gad and Bnei Ruvain were made a regular Tanai. But when you stipulate against the Torah, there is no concept of a Tanai. It's not that you don't have the power to, it's under those circumstances, there is no concept of stipulation. Memela, when the guy says, marry me, on condition that I don't have to give you shar ksos and oina, we don't hear those words. Those words are irrelevant. Because it's a Tanai that has no basis. Because it's a Tanai against what the Torah says. Not that it's not a powerful enough, it's that the Torah never gave the parsha of Tanaim under those circumstances. So the Maisa is Kayam and the Tanai is Batal. The Tosefta Rid says something interesting. Tosefta Rid says, look on the start of your page, he quotes Rabbeinu Tam. V'amar Rabbeinu Tam, dahave maflig bedvarim. He says something else entirely. When the guy says, I'm marrying you on condition I don't have to live with you, it's not a Tanai. It's just blabber. You know, sometimes people, they emit wind from their windpipe. It travels through their voice and their vocal cords, but it's not really words. People are just talking, you know. It's not even based on a true story. It's just like, you know, birds, they tweet, they make noises, you know. You pass by a bear, he growls. So sometimes people just make noise with their mouth. When he said on condition that I don't have to give you shar ksos and oina, those words were just haflaga b'dvarim ba'alma. Tosefta Yushanim says, have maflig b'dvarim ve'in zeh t'nai klal she yiskayim ha-t'nai. This is not a t'nai that the t'nai has to be fulfilled. L'man da'amar masa mashu kasav b'Torah t'nai batal. V'ave kamay amanas she tali l'rakia. You know, it's like the guy said, I'm marrying you on condition that I'm going to jump on one leg over Lake Ontario. Okay, very nice. Shkoyach. You know, it's just talk. Those words are meaningless chatter. When somebody is masna amash kasav Torah, we don't say, well, his das was, he only wanted to marry her if he doesn't have such an obligation. What if the guy said, I'm marrying you on condition that I could juggle the sun and the moon in one hand? So it's a stipulation. We say it's not a good marriage because he only was marrying her with that condition. Absolutely not. We say it's haflaga b'dvarim ba'alma. So too, if someone's masna amash kasav Torah, it's not that be'etzem Tanaim don't work. We only learn it out from Tanai Gad B'nai Ruvain, but this kind of Tanai we have no basis to learn out from Tanai B'nai Gad B'nai Ruvain. No, the way the idea over here is that it's absurd. It is something that is absurd to do, and therefore has no halachic standing. So basically, Tosefta's kasha was that Tanai should work because this was the guy's das, and the answer is, basically, no, we don't say this is the guy's. Really, Tanaim should not work. Only if they're similar to Bnei Gad and Bnei Ruvain. Comes Rabbi Eiger, and Rabbi Eiger turns the whole thing on its head. Okay, this will be the last Maramakam of this segment. Tosefta again said that if the reason why it's not a good Tanai is because it's against the Torah, clearly he had to double the Tanai. Otherwise, it's not going to be effective. Says Rabbi Eiger, "Ve'ululei sheineni kedai." Had it not been that I'm not worthy, I myself would have answered Tosefta's kasha differently. What does that mean? Nearly, that not that he's making it tonight. When the guy says, I'm marrying you on condition I don't have sherek susanoina, the amanas einoi b'derech tonight, rak shemakadesh oisa, beli his chayva sherek susvaina, v'hi niskat shaloi al oifen zeh. You know what the guy wants to do? Let's say somebody said, lady, I would like to marry you. I want to marry you on Tuesdays. I'm busy the rest of the week. Tuesday I have extra time. I'll marry you for Tuesdays. So basically he's making a shiur in the Kedushin. This guy, he doesn't want to be married the rest of the week. He's not making a stipulation. He only wants the Kedushin to be chal in a limited sense. So what do we say under those conditions? Rabbi Eiger says he can't make a shiur in Kedushin. So once the marriage is chal, it's chal. So this guy, it's not the pshat, he's marrying her, and these are the stipulations. No. There are different parts of marriage. One part is you have to give clothing. One part is you have to give food. One part you have to live with her. And one part is you have to do carpool once in a while. So he only wanted to do the carpool part. Fine, but once it's chal, the kedushin, it's chal. But it's against his das, not against his das. He didn't make a tanai. Rabbi Eiger says, I'm not sure I understand it, because I would have said he did make a tanai. He is saying there's a condition. Rabbi Eiger says he doesn't look at it as a condition, he looks at it as a limited form of kedushin. He wants there to be marriage, but not for the realms of sherek sus and aina. For example, on condition that there's no aina. Do inyan t'nai. Dim yeh by din aina lo yeh hamecher mecher. Dim keinim yeh aina yomer loikech roitzani sheyeh by din aina v'yisbatel be'emes hamecher. Ela vadai de'enoi b'derech t'nai, ela de'moicha be'inyan shlo yiyah l'leikech olav din oina. Let's say somebody says, somebody sells something on condition that the buyer can't say, you overcharged me. Is that a t'nai? That if there's oina, it's not a good sale? Because if there would be oina, the buyer should say, I want there to be a din oina, and let's be mevatel the sale. So it's not a t'nai. He's selling it in a limited capacity that the loikach doesn't have the right to opt out of it because of oina. And a buyer who agrees to that, he's like buying it without that right. In other words, like this. Normally if you overcharge someone, the sale's off. But what if you tell the guy, when I sell you something, I'm selling you two things. I want to sell you my baseball glove. And I also want you, normally when you buy it, you buy two rights. You buy the glove and you buy the right to say that if I overcharge you, you could renege. I don't want to sell you that second part. I'm not selling it to you. I'm only selling you the glove. I'm not selling you the right to back out if I overcharged you. So let's say the loikach says no problem. Let's say the loikach says no problem. Loikach can't back out. Why? Why not? Because he didn't buy that. So it seems like there's this concept that some things are stipulations and some things are limited transactions. So he wants to make a limited arrangement. The limited arrangement is he is not responsible for sharksas oina. Not that the kedushin is only chal on condition that he doesn't have these responsibilities, but rather, he's not marrying her for that. Marriage has many responsibilities. I'm not accepting some of them. So Reb Meir holds, you can't do that. You're masna mashikasav b'Torah. So you say the kedushin should be off. Why should the kedushin be off? He didn't marry her on that tanai. You hear what Rabbi Eiger is saying? Rabbi Eiger says he doesn't view almanas. These are not the conditions of the marriage. He just didn't want to make a marriage. Marriage has many aspects to it. He'd never assumed responsibility for certain aspects of marriage. But guess what? The Torah says when you're married, you're responsible for them. So now he's married and he's responsible. No, I stipulate. He didn't stipulate nothing. He said, 7 out of 10 things of marriage I'm good with. So the halacha Reb Meir says is, well, you can't decide what aspects of marriage you're responsible for. That's going against the Torah. But Rabbi Eiger, in his mind, he doesn't see this as a stipulation. He sees this as a limited responsibility. But you can't splice what the definition of marriage is. That's how Rabbi Eiger sees it.
The marriage overrides the specifications, basically, right?
Yeah.
The marriage is much stronger than the clauses he wants to put in. But we ignore the clause.
In other words, the guy says, I want to get married. He also says, I'm aware that marriage means 50 different things. I'm going to marry you for 47 of them. So what's the guy basically doing? He's redefining marriage. He's saying he wants to be married, but not for all the ways that the Torah says marriage works. So he's not putting a condition on the marriage. He's specifying that he doesn't want this to work fully. Can't do that. Yeah, but he only did it on that condition. It's not a condition. It was a limited responsibility, but he can't do that. The Torah defined what marriage is. He can't say what he's marrying for and what he's not marrying for. That's what Rabbi Eiger, that's how he looks at it. Okay, one more Inyan. Is that okay?